What are you thinking? I'm here to tell you a story based on this. Can you see these? We're filling up these 5-gallon water cans from this big tank that at one time held honey, and we cleaned it out, and now we fill it with water from our well, and we just run a hose from our well to here and crank it up. That's the well that's on a generator, and we fill this guy up, and then we hook this up to a hose adapter, which I still need to make, and then we'll use that to water our garden behind me when we need to do that. But this reminds me of a story. And I guess before I tell you the story, I'll tell you this. My son has a phrase he uses where he says, yeah, that's first world problems. Like when someone says, oh, I can't get any, excuse me, I gotta work while I talk. I can't get any service on my phone. I've got no cell service. He's like, it's first world problems. You don't need to worry about that. And then, you know, third world, right? That's considered politically incorrect to say that. That's developing nations. Well, I have what I call second world problems out here at Shofar Mountain. You know, we went from taking a 1-gallon bath, right, where we'd heat up a gallon of water, pour it in a dish tub, take a cup, get wet, lather up, take the cup, pour fresh water over, and get clean, rinse off. So now we have a bathtub, and we're using like 10 to 15 gallons of bath, which is, you know, that's 2 weeks of bathing, right, for each bath. And so, yeah, I call that second world problems. We're working on a solution to our water problem, our water issue. I do got to work while I talk. So anyway, I went to a Special Forces selection course way back in the day. I went actually to the second one, and you would go to this course for about 3 weeks, and they would stress you and test you and decide if you had the ability to, if you had the wherewithal to make it through Special Forces training. And then if you didn't, they'd send you home. If you did, they'd send you home, and they'd bring you back for the course later. And the Army figured out it was a good way to test people. And in my course, 41% of the people graduated that 3-week course. So, you know, they kind of weed out people. But I remember one day we showed up. It was team events, and they always put a different guy in charge. So, you know, there's like 10 soldiers. And we show up, and they say, hey, 42, you're in charge. Come here. And they tell this guy, all right, you see all these water cans? And there were all these water cans like these right here. There were, I don't know. If there were 10 guys, there were probably 15 water cans. You know, it wasn't an even number. And they said, you need to get these water cans from this point. I don't know how far it was. I really don't remember. Probably, you know, 3 miles. It wasn't that far. But you have like X amount of time to do it, which meant we had to run, right? And we were not allowed to put the water cans on our rucksacks. We had to hold them in our hands. And some guys got 2, some guys got 1. How do you work that out? And you're running with a rucksack, you know, your kit, your rifle, and these water cans. And I remember when we were doing that, telling myself, well, this is just a test, you know, to see how bad we want to be here and just suck it up and, you know, grab this thing and run, right? And when that guy gets tired carrying 2, he sets it down, you pick it up and you run. But we're never going to do this in Special Forces. You know, we've got all the logistics in the world, you know, supporting our special operators. We'll have helicopters bring us water or something. So fast forward about, I don't know, 2 years or something, I'm a detachment commander. We are in the desert, and we had infiltrated in, I don't know, it was in the middle of the night, 2 o'clock at night. We landed in a helicopter, and we were going to be out in the desert for a while, and so we had to bring all this water. And we initially had decided that we were going to carry our water on these stretchers, and so we strapped down these 5-gallon water tanks to each stretcher, and 4 guys would get on the stretcher with, you know, these monstrous operational rucksack loads, and we carried our water into the desert. We were going to set our water down in one place and then build like a little base camp and then operate out of there and come back to this base camp and get water. So, long story, lots of details missing, but that's basically it. Well, the stretchers didn't work, and we had to end up breaking them down, and we had to grab these water cans in our hands. Our rucksacks were too big and too full to put a water can on, and they weighed more than they did at selection. We had to get to our position and dig this big hole and hide in it before the sun came up, so time was an issue. And so here we are, running through the desert with heavier rucksacks and water in our hands in 5-gallon cans. And I flashed back to my selection course when I said, we'll never do this in SF. They'll bring it to us in a helicopter. Yeah, the things you don't know when you think you do. Anyway, water, it's important. Start thinking about water. Start thinking about how you're going to carry water to your place. Where are you going to get it from? How are you going to get it to your place? How are you going to purify it? How are you going to use it? How are you going to heat it? All those things, start thinking about it. Maybe practice. All right, I'll see you out there.